I am your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I was in church this morning. I don't run a church. I used to run a church there, but I gave it up and I'm now an ordinary member where I used to be the general overseer. They used a building in my school, and I'm so glad that that happened. And Deacon Wilson Emagbara preached a message on being fruitful in the valley, and I was very blessed. And my pastor called me up to share some insight into what was preached. I didn't go towards his message. As he was preaching, I was writing down things. Now, don't let your distress prevent the expression of your selflessness. I was most productive in my most difficult situations. I wrote several books between the age bracket of maybe 35 to 40, several books, up to 40 different books published. Many of them out of circulation. We are republishing them. That was when I wrote Hold On to Your Vision. I wrote Philosophy of the Ant, um, Oil of Marriage, Marriageable or Manageable, wrote several books. And when I came to Ugili and I was passing through a lot of stress, that was when I wrote Money is an Idiot and several other books. One of the things you must learn is that sometimes hardships, difficulties come for God to have your attention. Excitement is too euphoric most times and noisy and distractive for you to hear the voice of God, because the voice of God comes as a still small voice. The farrago of irrelevancies and the cacophony around you might prevent you from hearing from God. What happened to me was that in the depressive state I was in, I was lonely. A lot of my friends, relatives abandoned me. They were not around. They were having their own challenges. I don't blame them. And thank God they were not around. It gave me space to think outside the box. It gave me space to rediscover myself. And that was when I was able to reignite my vision of being a global citizen. And thank God it has come to pass. And it is still manifesting, and there are still mountains to conquer. Your heart is softer at that period. You are more humble at that period. You are more willing to learn, to hear, understand. Your vision is so clear that you interpret things differently from the way ordinary people interpret them. So remember my 8 eyes, those 8 eyes. I, as in ink, 8 of them, is most, they come more in that depressed, sober state. But you see, you can bring up fruits that will last forever. Joseph Scriven, I hope I called that name correctly, lost his first wife, second wife in very tragic circumstances. He emigrated to Canada and he was there doing menial jobs for people, a graduate. And he heard that his mother was sick or something was wrong. I can't remember it vividly. That was when he wrote a letter to her, what a friend we have in Jesus. It was after his death. Ironically, he drowned in a lake. That place has become a place visited by people because monuments were built in memory of him. That was when he wrote that song. What a friend we have in Jesus. That song is still on. Those who built limos or who bought big cars, who built big houses, who did all kinds of things that a Scriven would have wanted to have died and gone. But his song is still there. I will make a point. Harriet G. Spafford was crossing the Atlantic to Europe. When they got somewhere, the captain of the ship showed something, a place to him, that was where his children drowned in an accident in the sea. Only his wife survived. And he went into his room and wrote, when tears like sea billows roll, the Lord has taught me to know it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. And that song has been a song of consolation for others. The reason you might be passing through the depression might be an opportunity for God to speak to you. Think beyond yourself. That is key. Think of others and what you can do for them to make them happy. You will now find out that happiness will emanate from you when you concentrate on others in the midst of depression. The Shunammite woman had no child. She had all rights to be angry, to be frustrated. But she saw Elisha and said, I perceive that this is a man of God. And she invited him in, built a house on top of her house, a room, put bed, put lantern, put a table to minister to Elisha. It was after then that Elisha heard from Gehazi that she had no child. And Elisha prayed for her, and she conceived and had a child. The child subsequently died, and Elisha sent Gehazi. Gehazi could not raise the child. Elisha went and raised up that child. The woman subsequently went into exile because of famine, hunger that came. It was that child that was raised from the dead in the midst of depression, emotional depression, that became the evidence when the king asked Gehazi with executive leprosy, come now tell me the stories of the miracles that Elisha did. My prayer for you, you will not become a storyteller. You did not come to this world to tell stories. Let me quickly pass this across. Some people feel I am arrogant. That's your business. I am telling my story. I am narrating my story. It is my story, not yours. Somebody said, I always use I. You are the second person telling me. Bust you, baby. It is my story. People are tired of hearing other people's stories, other people's testimonies. Oyedepo did this, Idahosa did this, Kumuyi did this. No, I have my own story to narrate, and the world is waiting to hear your story. You don't need to be a storyteller, become a history maker. And so Gehazi was narrating the stories of Elisha because he had no evidence to show. And the woman, the Shunammite woman, and the boy that was raised from the dead just walked into the palace. And Gehazi said, "Behold the child that was raised from the dead." And the woman complained about her estate that was occupied by others. And the king issued a decree that all the monies collected from that estate should be returned to her. The next thing was that don't let depression, don't let disaster prevent you from becoming a star. Don't let it. There was a woman in Maputo, there was flood, and all the houses were covered. She climbed a tree. She gave birth on top of a tree. And CNN, in a helicopter from South Africa, recorded her rescue with her baby. And they took her to South Africa without visa. And she subsequently, I know they are in Comesa, she subsequently was appointed by, is it Chisano, President Chisano, to go to the United Nations to appeal for funds to rehabilitate Mozambique. They made her ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary because the whole world watched her being rescued from the disaster. And she went to the United Nations and raised money for Mozambique. You see, God has not finished with you. There is still something left. I used to say that if the devil puts a full stop in your life, put a comma under the full stop, turn it to a semicolon, and make a new history. Make a new statement. Don't let one disaster, one thing that happened, a husband that died, a child that died, a marriage that did not hold, somebody that left you. No. If it is me, bust you. I can move on without any person. And nothing holds me back. If I could sell medical practice and move on, if I could leave schools and all that and move on, I would. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here. And so, out of disaster, you can become a superstar. I'll tell you two incidences and we'll conclude this message. Now, Abraham bought a land from Ephron, the Hittite, when Sarah died. That land, Ephron cheated Abraham by demanding for 400 shekels, which is the equivalent of $5,000 today. Abraham counted out the money, and the land and the caves in Machpelah were deeded to Abraham. And Abraham subsequently handed that land over to Jacob. Jacob handed that land over to Joseph. Joseph was born around 1772 BC. Jesus subsequently drank water from that same well in Sychar. That well was excavated, I think, in 1945 or whatever. It was around 138 feet deep. That land that Abraham bought during a period of mourning and grief has become Hebron, where the Palestinians live. And anytime they are complaining, the Jews will show them the Bible that their father bought that land and it was deeded unto him. Jeremiah was going into captivity. Even though he was a prophet, he bought land and collected receipt. When there is depression, when there is frustration, keep doing the right thing. Think transgenerationally. Think beyond yourself. Why most people, I hope I'm not sharing the message I want to share on the 7th and the 8th of February about frustrations in life and ministry and career. When people concentrate only on themselves, they will start seeing faults. But when they express themselves out of their depression, out of selflessness, to meet the needs of others, God has a way of making their life more comfortable and enjoyable. There was the case of two patients in an old people's home. The bed of one of them was closer to the window, and one other one was a little not able to see the window. The one not able to see the window was suffering from depression, and the one that was able to see the window will always paint glorious pictures of the day, paint glorious pictures, describe beautiful sceneries, and all that. It kept them going and kept this one revived and happy. Unfortunately, the one who was describing the beautiful pictures and scenery died before the one who was not close to the window. Immediately, that one died. The one close that was being told the stories requested to be shifted to the bed of the late man close to the window so that he could see the beautiful scenery and the sky and whatever for himself. When they shifted him to that place, to that bed, he found out that there was a big wall by the window that prevented you from seeing the sky. That man that was by the window describing a beautiful scenery and whatever wanted to make this man's life better, give him hope, remove depression by creating a scenery that was beautiful. We were at Government College Old Boys Association meeting. I was very hungry and I don't eat in public. I don't drink anything in public, excepting I bought it and I brought it from my house. Because many are called, few are wicked, and even few are wizards and witches. And so somebody saw me in the crowd, those serving food, and brought a plate of rice, chicken, and salad and whatever to me, that somebody there specially sent it to me. And my medical schoolmate, Dr. Steve Anyaroy, an associate professor in New York, pediatrician, just came from the where he went to and was very hungry. He said he was very hungry. Me, I was equally hungry, but I gave him my food and he ate. I have blessed him with my food. I was happier that I blessed him with my food. So I went through the assembly hall of Government College Ughelli to the canteen to buy a drink for myself. And I demanded for a malt drink. As I was there, somebody came in, Opwe, came in and paid for my drink. You see the way the world goes round. Think beyond yourself, make a meaning to somebody, and you will find out that this world can be a better place if we think less of ourselves. Remember, Helen Keller was blind and she wrote all those beautiful songs. And she said that she doesn't bother to see. She's not bothered by not seeing. That when the trumpet shall sound and she will go into glory, that the first person she wants to see is Jesus Christ. She doesn't want to see any other person until she is given, mortality gives place to immortality and sees Jesus. Remember, if it is only in this world we have faith for and trust Jesus for, we are men most miserable. Think beyond yourself. I'm Dr. Charles Apoki. I have a webinar coming up on the 7th and on the 8th of February. It's tagged Overcoming Stagnation and Frustration in Life, Business, and Ministry. Send a message to +234 80 21 21 92 62. For those of you who have my WhatsApp number, +234 705213. Send a message to me. We want to form the Citizens Forum. It's a forum for Nigerians who are citizens, who have the interest of the country at heart and will want this nation to move forward. When we succeed with the one in Nigeria, we can form in different African nations so that the black race can move forward. I remain Dr. Charles Apoki. I love this message. God bless you.